All right. And there you have it. That is the intro for Merchant's Guide. Hey, everybody. My name is Tom. I'm one of the developers working on the Merchant's Guide to the Kingdom. And then over there we have.
Joseph, welcome in everybody. Thanks for coming. It's already exceeded my goal viewer count. So 16, I wanted 10, so already off to a good start. We're
Looking
going.
good, looking great. Awesome. So yeah, here we have the Merchant. Now, if you have been following at all, you've probably seen this guy around. He's the main character. That's pretty much who you're going to be playing as. He's a fourth generation merchant. We'll talk about that a little bit as we go, but he is your guy. That's you. That's the game you're playing. And Joseph's going to be guiding the game here. He's going to be the player. And I'll just be kind of talking with chat and making a few comments here and there on some other stuff. So, Joseph, if you want to kick it off and get the game going.
So yeah, basically there's trouble in the realm. The king is calling for more guilds and you are selected to be a guild leader. So first thing you got to do is actually create your guild. So first thing you got to do is choose a guild emblem. So you can go through all of our beautiful emblems here, pick one that fits, or you can just randomize. We also have custom names right now, but we'll kind of get into the guild names a little bit later as well. But for now, I'm just going to randomize. Shiverdon, I think, is good, and that guy is awesome. So I'm going to be the guild master of Shiverdon. And then right off the bat, it kind of gets you into this view here where you're actually not controlling the merchant. And this is kind of what's unique about our game. This is a world view, so kind of like a god mode, RTS style of game where you can basically go anywhere and kind of look at anything. But you do play as a merchant, so we give you that freedom to kind of go back and forth, and we'll kind of get into why that is that way a little bit later. But you can go ahead and press C, and now you are creating, controlling a merchant. So we can see this white line directing us to the first thing that we have to do on our list. Right here we have the chapters. So they kind of guide you through your initial journey. It's kind of our way of a tutorial. So going to go through some of the steps here that it gives you, just kind of an introduction here, and you can click begin. And then we've already created our guild, so first thing that we have to do is create a hero at the hero creation altar. So here's the hero creation altar right here. You know you can create a hero because of this beautiful portal that you can step onto. So now that we're there, we see our guild emblem and we can go ahead and recreate. We have 3 races here. Did you want to get into the description of all the races real quick, Tommy?
Yeah. So we actually have quite a bit going on in this world. We're not going to spoil anything for anybody as far as the story goes, but each one of these races, they all have these really elaborate and intricate backstories as far as where they hail from, what they're doing here, even down to their personality types and the things they're looking for. So there's definitely a lot that's happening there, and you can also see Joseph has the warrior, the mage, cleric, and the rogue. They're all options for you to play, and each one of them has 2 subspecs, specializations. If you don't know much about MMOs or games that have specs in them, but they are called specs. But you're currently looking at our ogre female. She's a doll. Very, very. One of the interesting things, and I think you'll notice it pretty quickly, is we didn't shy away from sizes. If you play games like World of Warcraft, you have the gnomes and you have the tauren, but they're kind of normalized in the game. But in our game, basically, if something's 8 feet tall, it's going to show like it's 8 feet tall in the game. If something's 2 feet tall, it's going to show like 2 feet tall in the game. We have this really unique environment where we were able to, you can see how small the dwarf is in comparison, but you can see the size comparisons and really, really fun stuff that we were able to accomplish, not having to worry, because we have that god view that Joseph was showing. We definitely wanted to keep going with that. And then another thing, real quick note, that as he pulls up this stuff, our UI right now is probably the main thing that is going to get a paint job later on. Definitely a lot of work we're going to be putting in on that. This is all what's called programmer art. So Joseph basically puts that together with the limited assets that we have, and then as well as performance. There are some things where, as he's pulling up these big lists, you'll see a little bit of lag, and that's all stuff that will be gone by the time the game releases. But for sure, just something to keep in mind as we're playing. But Joseph, I'll let you talk through the character creation process here.
Yeah, so this is going to be much more customized than what you're seeing right now. Obviously, the human was our first race, so we have a lot more options for the human, male and female. We do have some options for the others, but not nearly as much. But this is kind of what you're going to get into, but you're also going to be able to select hairstyle, hair color, the outfit, kind of everything. We want to make a really like personalized approach to everything. Want to answer some of the questions that we're getting here in the chat real quick. So how far in development are you guys? This has been going for about 2.5 years now.
Just over 2 years now.
Yeah. So yeah, lots going in. The game has completely changed from what we originally thought it was going to be. I mean, we were talking 2D, 6-month development time. And here we are. It's just been too much fun. We can't stop. But yeah, how much will the game be on release? I think we're talking about 15.
Yeah, we're definitely leaning toward the smaller side. We don't have a final version yet, but it's not going to be 30, 50, 60 or anything like that. We are a small indie development team. There's very few of us on the team, and we want to make a name for ourselves first. And yeah, you're mentioning the outfits here. We are going to have a whole lot of outfits for all of them, but if you look at, right now, the human male by far has the most. And then if you look at something like the ogre female, she basically has one outfit and then she just runs around in her underwear. Just kind of working. That's something that's going to be a whole lot of stuff, for you to choose from. And as you can see, as he's cycling here through the different parts of the outfits, he's looking at the chest piece right now. You can change the hairstyle. You will be able to change the colors. You'll be able to change the shades, your skin color, your hair color, your hairstyle. Pretty much full on character creation. As far as animation goes, that's a really good question. So go ahead.
Yeah, we've been kind of playing around with like a cape movement, hair movement. I think eventually we do want to get to that. We're kind of just going to be finalizing all of our looks first and then starting to get into the fun stuff like the movement, kind of bringing these characters to life. So that's kind of our stage that we're working on right now, is really just getting into like the characters and your interaction with the characters. So, and we're going to be showing a little bit of that later on, what we have so far. It's not much. There's just so much going on with the world. You will see that, but yeah, I mean, the moment that we're at in development is just so exciting. It's just, I can't get enough. It's awesome. So everything's really coming together. So yeah, that is definitely something that we are going to be adding in for the early access and when you guys can purchase it. So yeah, definitely look forward to that.
To add on a little more, you said same question for the environment. That is huge. We are going to want the world to feel like it's a full living, fully functioning world. And we're going to have not only a whole bunch of heroes running around, which you'll see that in the game. You'll have heroes running around. There's going to be enemies, mobs running around, all the monsters running around that your heroes are going to fight. You're going to have critters running around. We're going to have birds flying. We're going to have music going and nature sounds. It's going to be a very full on living world. And then, yeah, so talking about the specializations a little bit. They are not character specific. You can play a human, whatever. You can play an ogre, a dwarf, whatever. Yes. You can be any class, any specialization on any race. And so looking at the names here. So if we started at just with warrior, everybody knows warrior is going to be, that armor clad bunch of crazy weapons. So we have 2 specs for him. First one's refuge. That's going to be your tank. And yes, this is a game that has group dungeons. So you're going to have to build groups, and you will want a tank for the group. You'll want a healer for the group, and then you'll have 3 DPS for the group, which DPS, of course, damage per second. That's the characters who are going to be killing everything, while the tank is taking the threat and the aggression from the enemies and soaking up as much damage as he can. And of course, the healers are the one that's going to be trying to keep them alive. So, but yeah, as far as warrior, they have refuge and frenetic. If we look at mage, we have 2 specs there. We have the elemental, and then we also have the astral, which is kind of a different twist on a healer. So That's a healer. So the mage can be a healer, and basically it's using, it says they're armed with the power of the cosmos, and Astral will transfer life from the stars themselves into the party members they want to keep alive. So it's more of a base, astral theme, and that's why it's called the Astral, of course. So using a kind of a different themes here, trying to mix it up a little bit. So look, if you look at the cleric, another situation where it's a little bit different, you have the preservation cleric and the reverence. Reverence is kind of your typical, a holy caster, holy healer, but preservation is actually another tank. So you have a cleric that they could actually be running around in cloth gear, but they're going to be a tank, and they're using power to create big shields and using all kinds of different methods and abilities. So kind of unique spins on tanks, on a tank here with the preservation, a unique spin on the healer with the astral mage. And we're going to continue having some fun with it. We have all kinds of ideas down the road where we're going to have different twists on your typical kind of heroes. And then, of course, we have the normal ones where a rogue can be a scrapper, which is kind of a melee. They're up in the battle doing the fights. And then the Deadeye is going to be your ranged archer doing all the shooting and all that fun stuff. So right now there are 8 different specializations for 4 different classes. And yeah, again, you can be whatever you want on whatever you want. So Joseph, if you want to go ahead and take your pick, I wonder what you're going to pick.
Yeah, this is tough. We were talking about what we were going to be before. There's definitely, our favorites as devs. Don't want to give that away too quick. But yeah, there's a lot of balancing passes that's going to come in. But yeah, I think I want to go with a reverence. I think I want to be a healer this time.
Reverence. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking that. So we'll go ahead and create this guy. So now this is your officer. He is your first member of your guild, and he basically listens to everything that you say. So he's going to go in there and wait in the barracks for you, and basically he's going to be idling until you tell him what to do. So from there, we have completed our second step of our chapter. The third step right here, we have write or gather quest at your quest table. So one of the jobs that you have as the merchant and a part of this beautiful city is actually giving quests. So with those quests, we have 2 different types. We have adventures, which are these series of quests that are kind of chained together in this quest chain, and only one hero can accomplish that adventure at a time. So that'll just be, like if you're an officer, you want to send him on an adventure, there's going to be a storyline, there's going to be lore involved. It's going to tell a story as you go throughout, kind of your typical MMO approach. And then we're going to have your regular general quests that you actually can write yourself at your beautiful quest table over here. So we can go over here. This is where you write your quests. You can go ahead and put ink to the paper and start creating our new quests. So we have a couple different quest types that we can make automatically. We have dungeon, gathering, and fishing, and this is based off of what's available to you at the time. So right now we do have, let's see, 2 dungeons available with Wolf Den and Red Claw's Lair. And then we have 2 gathering nodes available with Fur Grove and Tin Deposit. So this wants us to write a gather quest at our quest table. Real quick, I was able to kind of navigate to the quest table on my own because I obviously know where it is. But if you ever are playing the game and you want to know, hey, where is this thing? You can open this I button for information. And then these little steps right here, these will walk you through everything that you possibly... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll go to the bottom. This will walk you through everything that you would need to possibly complete that step. And also, we decided to go crazy and write a whole bunch more. So if you want to maximize your potential in this game, if you really want to know what is going on and how am I, going to be the absolute best merchant I can be, then you can read everything. But realistically, everything that you need is in these first few steps, and you can also press assist to kind of also guide you as well to where you need to be. Oh, I gave away the jumping. Sorry. He can jump too. It's really fun.
Yeah, you can jump.
Yeah, so that big light change that you saw, that's the indication that there is a new day. So we're on day 2. There is a time of day change, and there is weeks that come in, and at the end of the week you do get rewards for how you perform during that week. Kind of getting
Yeah,
ahead of myself
there's
here, but
yeah, definitely. There's all kinds of daily goals, weekly goals, and they're all based on in-game, not real time.
mhm,
But so, like Joseph was saying, as far as writing your quest, he can go in here and he can fully label. I want, I don't want it to be called Gathering a Furlong. I want it to be
yeah,
called Wood for the Warriors. Whatever
right,
it is that you want to call
mhm,
your quest. If you want to go crazy, you can get in there and name the quest. You
yeah,
can write a description for it, custom description, however you want, or just create the defaults that it automatically builds for you. And there's a lot of strategy around what quests you're going to put up and when. At the beginning of the game, not so much,
yeah,
but as you'll see later on in the game, there's going to be potentially hundreds of heroes running around. And you're going to want quests specifically catered to your needs and what you want the heroes to be actively doing
mhm,
in terms of getting stuff back to you for you to use for your officers and complete some of the more difficult dungeons and whatnot. And then as far as when he clicks that I button, he shows that more information. We wanted this game to be readily accessible for just about everybody. So if there's somebody who has no idea, they've never played a game before in their life, they wanted to play this game, they can click that I, and that's what that big old chunk of text at the bottom was, basically explaining every possible detail you'd ever want to know. But if you're a seasoned gamer, you've played all kinds of games and you know the drill, you can follow the quick, easy steps right up top, and you're good to go.
yeah.
But yeah,
So
right.
after you create the quest, then it's going to be in your quest book now. So I just created it and I automatically posted it. I'm going to go ahead and create another one. So this is going to be for the Wolf Den. Right now, you can only request all items, but there is going to be the merchant talent tree where you can kind of spec into different ways that you actually want your merchant to excel in the game. So that's when you're going to get into more specific quest creation and really optimizing your gameplay on, okay, what quests do I want? How do I get the most out of my game? And yeah, really complete the goals ahead of me in the fastest time. So right now, yeah, you can request just all items, which means whenever someone goes to the Wolf Den, whatever items that they do pick up, they're going to bring you back everything. So I'll go ahead and create one of those as well, stamp it for approval, and post it. And now this is going to go on your quest board here in over here. So you can have 4 quests active at one time. So we just made 2, and now they can get picked up by World Heroes. We actually do have one that's coming our way, but let's go ahead and assign our officer a quest. He's kind of lonely in the barracks by himself right now. So right now we did make this gathering, so let's go ahead and click him and click assign, and he's going to go on his way to go and gather us some furlocks. Here is our new beautiful dwarf that came in off the boat over by the docks. So he is what we call a world hero. So notice he completely just ignored me right there. World heroes are a little bit different. They can come whenever they kind of feel like it, come and pick up your quests. They're basically just, you're the NPC in the world, and they're the players. So they can come and pick up your quests. They can come and sell you whatever they decide that you can get in your shop and buy whatever they like from your shop. So yeah, there is a way to kind of get them on your side though. So we are obviously in Shiverdon. One of the first things that happens when you get a guild created is you also get a missive created. So if you look, this is called an invitation. Now you can go to your heroes. So we have all of our heroes in the realm right here. We have our Dimbranch, our officer of Shiverdon, and then we also have this stranger in the world, Angurmul. Beautiful name. He is a rogue scrapper, so we can go ahead and select our missive and try to get him in our guild. It's not 100% that he will accept. So if you see there's different ranks of the missives, this is more effective on heroes range from level 1 to 5. So we'll go ahead and send our invite and see how it goes, and he absolutely loved the invite, and now he is a part of our guild. So now we have both of them. But you see there's officers and members. So they are very different. You notice that he didn't show up here with all the information, and you can order them around by locating them, seeing what they're doing, beckoning them, ordering them to rest or eat. This is their energy bar right over here. So he just got done with a world combat is what we called. So he fought one of these terrifying wolves over here. So these wolves come and attack your heroes. They're one of the dangers of the world. So we can see that happening right now. See if he catches him, and he does. They're pretty fast and they're pretty aggressive, these wolves. So all the enemies are going to kind of range from, you know, more passive or, you know, really aggressive, and the strength of them is going to change depending on your region that you're in. So there are a lot of dangers in the world, and that's kind of why you have to be, you know, selective on where you send your heroes when. I think this might be something that a lot of you people know, but if this is the first time you're seeing it, when your officer dies, he's gone. Or when any hero in the realm dies, he's gone forever. Right now, all of his loot is gone. Everything is gone. So it is a hardcore game. So, you know, the decisions that you make, especially with your officer, someone that you devote a lot of time to, you kind of got to, you know, look at, okay, where am I sending them and what's the dangers that are associated with the region I'm sending him to. So this is the first dungeon. This is the Wolf Den. This is the dungeon that we made a quest for. So any world hero would be able to come and grab this quest from us and do it. We can look and see some of the recommended stats and everything. So it just requires level 1. It's just a single man dungeon. So you can send Dimbranch there, and he can go in there and do his thing. There's also just a recommended gear score of 1, so this doesn't seem like it's too scary, right? It's the first one, should be fine. You can also see what kind of enemies there are and the archetypes associated with each enemy. This is gonna really change how you should approach combat. So archetypes with the minion, they're kind of just, you know, the fillers, you know, the easy mobs, if that makes sense. And then we have we have something like 25 different archetypes right now, and it really does change the abilities that the enemy can have, how they're going to perform in combat, whether they can heal or whether they do magic or physical damage, and all of these things you have to kind of consider going into combat. So speaking on that a little bit, I don't know if you want to take over there, Tom.
Yeah. Well, I want to get to a couple of these questions first. Blood-Eye Graham asked, what are the loot tiers in the dungeons, and will there be class-specific loot? So that's something we talked quite a bit about. First of all, no class-specific loot. And the reason that we're doing that is because we've, in our entire gaming lives, we said, why has no one done a good battle mage yet? There's, you know, we've played so many games that try a battle mage, and they always miss some aspects, right? But if you want to come in here, you want to create a battle mage, somebody who's going to have really high ability power, but they're also going to be able to hit really hard with their melee strike, then you can build that. So if you want to give them a two-handed mace that actually has insane ability power on it, you can do that. So you can create this battle mage. You can put on heavy armor, medium armor, light armor, whatever kind of armor you want to cater them around the build that you actually want to run. So creating all the different builds that you want is one of the aspects that's going to make the game a little bit different. You know, you can create, you know, Joseph created, would you create a preservation?
Reverence.
A reverence. So he created technically somebody who was a healer, but if he goes out of his way and he builds with good melee power, and they want it to be, you know, a healer who's going to be in the fight, hitting people, grinding them down with a two-handed mace or a two-handed axe or a sword and shield, whatever you want to equip them with, you can, and you can build their stats around that as well. So we didn't want to do any class-specific loot. As far as loot tiers in the dungeons, those are going to start very basic. You know, if you're doing a level 1 dungeon, you're going to get probably level 1. But once you get into higher levels, you're going to have a wider range of tiers. However, one of the other interesting things about the game is you can tier up individual dungeons. So you're going through, you're earning resources, you're earning experience, you're earning all this stuff. Joseph, at some point in the game, he can go and he can level up his Wolf Den. And if the Wolf Den gets up to tier 5, all of a sudden, you can equip your level 1 heroes with gear that's going to be powerful enough for like level 20. And obviously that's going to take a long time. And there's a specific reason that we did that. Joseph was talking about the hardcore aspect of the game. And it sounds interesting. It sounds crazy, but the raids in this game, there's going to be raids of up to 40 people. So imagine this scenario. You have 10 officers. You send them all to a raid with 30 other heroes in the world, and they wipe. That's 40 heroes that are going to be wiped from your realm. They're all going to die. All the gear is going to be lost. All the experience, all the time that you spend on them. So it is pretty punishing. But if you have, if you're that far into the game where you're doing 40-man raids, we're going to want to upgrade these dungeons, and we're going to want to get this better gear so that, the time that it takes from a level 1 hero to get to level 10 the first time may be an hour or two. But once you level everything up, you have, higher ranked heroes, higher ranked gear, you can cut that down to be potentially even 10, 15 minutes, really, really short. So being able to tier these things up, because once you get into the late game of this game, you're looking at a very interesting situation where you're most likely managing your heroes at level 60, which is currently the max hero level, but you're managing your heroes at level 60, but there's still going to be little level 1 heroes running around in the world. And we figured out an interesting way to make sure that there's always something for everybody to do. And depending on how you want to play the game, if you want to focus on dungeons, you can focus on dungeons, level them up, and everybody's going to blast that way. If you want to focus on trading, if you want to focus on your economy, if you want to be focused around being a merchant, you can do that. So a lot of different ways you can actually play the game. But as Joseph's looking around right now, Rapid Thunder over there, just chopping down trees. It's a very live, active world. So yeah, very long-winded answer to your question, but there is not class-specific loot, and dungeons will adjust based on how much you are leveling them up. So a lot to be said there.
Yeah, definitely. So trying to get back into these chapters here. I'm sure you guys saw. I'm just kind of going through, doing the steps. So every time that you do complete a chapter, you can now claim the rewards here. So I got all of these done. I can now claim my rewards, and I'm actually getting a lot of materials here. So a lot of XP, some gold, and some nice materials that I can actually craft with. So moving on to chapter 3, this kind of gets into more of actually gearing up your heroes. So we have a couple different professions in town that you can go to create stuff. One of them is wanting to talk to us right now. This is the Mystic, and basically with these NPCs in town, they're going to be asking favors from you. So we can go and see that our Mystic over here is wanting 9 fur logs from us, and we just ended up getting 50. So we actually have 54, so we can actually go and complete this favor right away. So we can go and see her, Nira, here, talk to her, and she needs 9 fur logs, and then you can kind of choose what reward you're going to get from that. This is one of the gameplay loops that we have with basically you as a merchant helping out your city. So this is part of, they'll come to you and be like, hey, can you get these items for me? And that is one of your specialties with not only having a shop, but having heroes kind of at your whim, and being able to give quests. So they're who they go to. You're who they go to for items. So we can go ahead. We can deny if it seems a little bit out of reach, but then we can select the gold, the research, or the star coins. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we can accept the gold, research, or star coins from there. We'll get into star coins a little bit later. This shows you the value of the research, but I'll wait a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and accept the gold here, get my 18 gold, and walk away right there. So now we can go and complete, try to complete our chapter 3. So we're going to go over here where the tailor is, Amber, our tailor. And this is their beautiful tailor shop. Go over here, and this is how you craft at each one of the stations. So there's different materials and different crafting recipes that you can do at each one of these professions. So we see here material you can create, you can turn your twill into woven twill. So this is known as like a compound, and then from there, if you get magic essence, 4 magic essence and 3 woven twill, you can then turn it into a nice belt that your hero can use. So we'll go ahead, we cross that one off. Now we just need to do the blacksmith and the lumberjill. So Go over here to the blacksmith. And yeah, as you help these guys out, help your other professions out, you're going to gain rank with them and be able to tier up your crafts. So the more that you craft the common buckler, it can get to tier 2 all the way up to tier 5. And now every time that you're crafting this once kind of okay-ish, starting weapon, you're crafting a level 1 weapon that can potentially steer them through level 5, 6, 7 content right away. So as you progress in the game, your power also just naturally kind of increases with you. So it kind of, softens the blow a little bit of that hardcore aspect. Now we'll go over to the Lumberjill and then we'll start crafting.
Yeah, so while you're doing that, Just Snug asked, after you create quests like this, does it create a preset? So if you find something optimal, you can repeat it? Absolutely. So every single quest that you create is going to be added to what's called your quest book. From there, and again, specifically because there's such a wide range of things that you may be able to do that you want to do. So if you create a level 1 quest, that will permanently stay in your quest book unless you manually delete it, of course, but it'll stay in your quest book. And at any point in time, you can manage your active quests where take one down, add one on based on what it is you're after in the game. So if you're specifically wanting to get, like Joseph's working on tin right now, let's say they wanted more tin, you can take down a different quest, put up the gathering tin quest that you created, and all the heroes will pick that up and go do those quests for you. So you get more tin, you'll have more chance at copper, and then you can make bronze and all these different things that you can do. So there's actually a lot of strategy behind that as well, as far as which quests you're going to have active, because you only have 4 slots available. You can only have 4 quests active. And that's because we wanted you to be able to have to, pick and choose. What is your main focus? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And there's all kinds of different ways. So yeah, you can repeat these quests unlimited times as long as you have the gold to fund it. So whenever you send somebody to do a quest, you're saying, okay, go do this for me. I'll give you gold. Both of you earn reputation and experience, but the hero brings you back what they found, and you give them gold for it. So you're using, you're using gold to fund your ability to get these quests done. So it's definitely very malleable in terms of how you want to play it, but you always have to be conscious of, if there's a, like a 10-man dungeon, and you're going to send people to do it, you're going to have to pay each one of the people who has that quest from you. Typically it's going to be worth it. You'll get some good gear from it, get a lot of experience from it, and you'll be able to do more difficult things, more profitable things. But in the end, you definitely need to pay attention to, you'll have all the quests available, but whatever you end up writing and adding is going to be the strategic part, and you can go broke. So you got to pay some pretty close attention to how you're strategizing.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of larger kind of purchases that you're going to be working towards with this. Some of those being actually increasing the amount of quests that you can have active at one time, which is a huge thing. Being able to send 10 people to go gather fur logs instead of 5 really stacks up and will help you with some of those larger favors that are being asked of you. So right now we have 0 out of 5. We do have Angermal on both of these quests, but the benefit of guild members and guild officers, they don't count against your quest cap. So that's another huge benefit of having these guild members and assigning them these quests. So even if I sign, I should get Dim Branch. Again, he's waiting on me. I have to keep him busy. I'm being a bad guild master right now. But yeah, I can assign him there, and then you can see that he's active on it, but again, still 0 out of 5. So keeping your officers busy and your guild members busy is how you optimize your time in this game. Absolutely. So I want to call it micromanaging, because you really can send them on, you can assign them multiple quests at a time. You can assign them to multiple gathering nodes at a time. I'll even go and create more quests now, and I can do fishing at Riverhead Sound and go and create that, post that, and then also go ahead and get the tin up. So now I have 4 quests active, And what I can do with that is not only assign him to the Wolf Den, but also go ahead and give him all of these quests as well. So he's going to be busy for quite a while. And when he comes back, he's going to have all of this great stuff for me. And when you get him kind of in that big to-do list, you can kind of now focus on some of the other things that you have to do with chapters or favors or some of the merchant professions that we've also added as well. So kind of completing chapter 3 here. We've done everything that we need to do with interacting, crafting, and also equipping a piece of gear on our officer. So now we have these other information tidbits here with about combat utility stats. So if we look, this one has combat stats of plus armor, and then utility stats of plus move speed. So that's how we kind of separate our stat list. You see here, these are all our different stats. So you'll be able to look at each hero in the realm and kind of see, how strong they are. There's a combat power here. So he has a combat power of 22, and that can help you decide on where to send them as far as a dungeon. You want to look at that recommended combat power before sending, especially your officers or your guild members anywhere. And there also is a limit for the world heroes as well, so they're going to be looking at that. They're not going to just go willy-nilly into some very high-end raid and just commit suicide, basically. So yeah, they're smart as well. They have a lot of hero AI built into them, and honestly are pretty. I think they're pretty good. You'll be surprised at how fast they can accomplish some of the things that you're setting out to do yourselves. So you have your goals, and they also have theirs, and sometimes they'll beat you to that. Speaking on that a little bit, we have our guild panel down here, and we have our guild ranking. And the more that your guild level comes up, then you get additional stat bonus. And there's also these goals that you set out for your guild. So you can see here with Redclaw's Lair, there was a world hero that cleared Redclaw's Lair, but us as a guild, as Shiverdon, we have not accomplished that. So there is a reward for doing each dungeon as a guild. To be an official guild run, as you see, official guild clear, you have to have at least half guild members in your team size requirements. So there's one-man dungeons, which obviously you send your one hero there, and it's going to automatically be an official guild clear. But for a 5-man, 10-man, it ramps up pretty quick with what you have to outfit your guild members with to be able to accomplish that and get that achievement for your guild. So we'll go ahead and claim that sorry, real quick, and next one we have to work on is Redclaws. But we will go ahead and finish this up. There's combat and utility stats and multi-rolled stats. We're going to go over multi-rolled stats a little bit later. Excuse me.
Yeah, so looking down at chat again, Blood-Eye Graham asks, as you expand your renown as a merchant, do characters change your interactions with you, and do you gain access to higher tier hero options? Absolutely you do. So there's a few different ways that a hero can be the best hero of the realm, basically. If you look next to his name where it says Squire Dimbranch, he's now a Squire. And of course, it's going to require balancing and everything, but he's actually a rank up in terms of his relationship with you. Because he's a Squire, that means that you have more ability. He's more likely to pick up your quests. He's more likely to buy from you, sell to you, because there are other functioning merchants in the world. You're not the only merchant in the world. So these heroes, they're going to go to whatever's most convenient for them. He's an officer, so he's not. But these world heroes, they'll go basically where it makes the most sense. Excuse me. And as you rank them up, not only are they going to be doing things for you more frequently, but they're going to be doing them at less cost and more benefit to you. So the more that they do for you, the more, and that's the other thing, is you want to appropriately write. If you have heroes in your realm and they're all level 20 combat powers, 100 plus, and you only have, combat power 3 and basic gathering quest active, they're probably not going to do much for you. So you're gonna, you're not really gonna grow as a merchant at that point. So you need to make sure you're also providing them with the things that they can do, that they want to do for you, and they'll provide back. And as you continue working with them, your relationships will grow. They'll rank up. And then Joseph also mentioned star power. So if you look next to his name, he has that little badge there with that 1 star in it. He is actually a 1-star hero. They can be up to 5 stars. Now, if you get a 1-star hero at the beginning, you can earn through all kinds of different ways what's called star power, and basically, it's called star power for now. But basically, that you use that, you can rank them up, and you can actually see Rapid Thunder down there. She's actually a 3-star hero, so that's going to give her just a slight edge in terms of power. But you can upgrade their power, and later on, there's going to be a system where you basically use that to train them, unlock new abilities for them, and basically just you really want to rank up your own heroes to get them to these more powerful levels. So definitely a lot there in terms of the relationship, like you're talking about, as far as growing your renown as a merchant and growing relationships with all these different heroes. And you'll find as you're playing through, there's a specific set of heroes that you'll like better than the others. They'll do more for you, and in return, you're going to want them to do more. And Joseph's, of course, waving there at the beautiful Rapid Thunder. But yeah, there's right now it's just waving, but you will be able to, as you unlock them and as you get higher ranks with them and do more with them, then they will unlock more interactions that you can actually do with them. So yeah, there's definitely a lot behind the idea of building out these relationships, and making a more personalized experience. I remember I was doing a playthrough once, and I invited this guy to my guild. He was a little dwarf, and he was a healer, and I needed a healer to my tank, and he declined my invitation. So I was naturally quite salty for the rest of the game at him, and I declined him all the quests. I didn't buy anything from him, and it was very personal to me when he declined my invitation. So eventually he died, and I was not upset about that. But yeah, what it really comes down to is we did want it to feel like a fully functioning and active world. A lot of heroes out there doing whatever they want. Some of them will be gatherers. They'll gather a lot more than the other ones. Some will be more dungeon central, and there's all kinds of different ways that they'll play. There's different things that they'll do, and there's just so many ways that you can play the game. And Joseph, he's fishing right now, and that basically, you can focus on fishing, and that can be a way that you really keep your heroes going, because as he mentioned, you have that energy bar. If you run out of energy, you got to rest, because as you reach a certain energy point, they're tired, they're not hitting as hard as they usually do, they're taking more damage than they usually do. So you need to make sure you're well rested when you send your heroes out. However, if you catch the right fish and you have enough, you can actually feed them fish, up their energy, and if you're efficient enough with it, you can have your officer just on this constant cycle of work, eat, and you kind of a little slave driver in that sense, where you're pushing them really, but as long as they never drop below that energy, they're going to do things very efficiently for you. So a lot of different ways to manage it, and then of course there's all these different lures. I don't think we'll go too far into detail into fishing, because there is a lot with it, and it is going to get a little bit of a paint job pretty soon here. So whenever we get this game into your hands, which we're hoping will be relatively soon, we definitely want you to play around with it and get a little bit deeper into some of these systems. So yeah,
one of the big things that we want for you as a merchant is be able to kind of have your own story as well. You're always kind of supporting other people, so merchant professions is kind of how we introduce that. Right now we do only have fishing, but there are plans for further professions in the future. But with fishing, yeah, we have our different lures, our different baits that we can use, and also turning fish into different crafting recipes. So them by themselves, they give to energy, or they can increase your hero's stats when eaten. But there's other uses for them as well. So, and even could be something that, maybe the blacksmith needs a a bunch of mucky bottom feeders that he asked for. So with the bait, I'll go into that just really briefly. You can go ahead and get some barnacle starfish bait. Buy 5 of these from Graver, the old fishing vendor. Purchase them, and then now you can use them while you're fishing. So we can go ahead and add our bait, and now each bait comes with 5 charges. When we're fishing, you can use any of the lures. I believe, yeah. So if you used offensive, this is what can actually catch barnacled starfish on its own. But if, say, you really want to get some more energy fish, you can go ahead and just fish for energy on its own, and then as you're fishing, you can also catch barnacled starfish. Or if you have a favor for 200 barnacle starfish that you really need to that's funny that you say that, Blood Eye, because that is exactly what it's called, is the well-fed bonus. We went real original with that. But yeah, so 5 charges for each one. There is a chance that it will not get consumed. So with everyone, you know, they are kind of expensive with the bait, but it could pay off in the end, or it could kind of, you know, also be, you know, a big money sink. But it's just depending on what you want and what your goals are in the game at that point, and we kind of make that accessible to you. So see there, I got a nice barnacle starfish along with my muggy bottom feeders, so I can increase my hero's ferocity now, and kind of feel better about sending him to, you know, potentially a scary dungeon. Me personally, whenever I'm getting ready for a raid, I get every single possible bonus that I could ever get and give them everything, because I'm paranoid about losing my officers. So I over prepare, but you know, it's a good thing. So now that we actually got to level 2, we can also increase our lure skill level. So we can go ahead and add more points to energy. This increases our fishing speed, so we're going to get energy fish a lot faster. And then we can also catch additional fish. So as you see, when it goes up all the way to level 20, you can start getting Thunder Ray, which is 50 energy a pop. So it's huge increases there, and also, you know, big gold increases, everything. So spending your time, your off time fishing is going to be really beneficial to you in the end. But let's go ahead, and while I'm here, I'm going to use the Fish-O-Matic 3000. So this is what I was talking about with the conversion. So you're probably going to get quite a bit of fish, and you can use a lot of them, you know, just naturally through buffing your heroes. But a big bonus with them is being able to convert them to fish oil or Omega 9. The Omega 9 costs a lot more fish to be able to convert it into, but they're also for a lot stronger crafts. So we can select 5 mucky bottom feeders here and go and convert that, and now we have our very first fish oil. So that's kind of like a salvage system, for those of you that are kind of familiar with that. But Wildtail is about to leave us. He's a very angry customer, so we should probably get back to the shop and help him out. So he wants to pick up some quests. We can go ahead and accept all, deny all, or whatever we want there. Teresa does have stuff to turn in, so we see that she found some tin ore on gathering tin ore, and when she turns that in, everything that's turned in from these quests, they go straight into your quest cache. So this is kind of like your hub for all things quest related. So, and whenever you do need that, you can come in, transfer all, and now you can use that to craft or whatever you want. Looks like we basically completed chapter 4 here, with completing the Wolf Den solo dungeon. Tim Branch did that, and then also writing the dungeon quests. So we also have another one here for reading about dungeon mechanics. There's one key thing here. We realize that hardcore is scary. With each dungeon, if you're in something that's more than a 1-man dungeon, so 3-man, 5-man, 10-man, whatever it might be, there is one kind of saving grace to each hero. They have something that's called rebirth. Every hero can rebirth once every 3 days. there may be merchant talents in the future that could increase that or reset that. But for now, once every 3 days, you can your hero can perish in an enemy wave, and then if the whole group survives the enemy wave, then the next enemy wave that starts, your hero will revive. But if he dies again after that, then he's gone forever. So um, there's definitely some nail biters out there, especially with the first raid that is at the end of chapter 10, Rite of Morning. It's a 10-man raid, and it is pretty scary. I always like really prepare for that. The raids kind of increase a lot in difficulty. Most of the 1-mans, 3-mans, 5-mans, they're pretty okay as long as you meet the recommended power, but you're going to want to look at the composition of your group. Do I have enough healers? Do I have enough DPS? They're going to obviously, make sure of that on their own, but also looking at the power of each one. So you definitely want to look at, okay, who's going to be joining my group? There is a feature where you can create custom groups for you really wanting to micromanage that. So you can create a custom group, and then at that point you can accept or deny any applicant to your group. So if you want to just for some reason go 10 healers, you can if you have 10 healers in your group and they all want to sign up, or in your realm and they all want to sign up. So that is completely on you as a guild master, and sending your officers to a guild. You have that power. How much does your level and guild affect?
So yeah, looking at the next question, Blood Eye Graham, how much does your level and guild affect the surrounding towns and cities? So another really good question, because similar to heroes and dungeons and everything, as you interact more and more with these other cities, you will get more reputation, and that's going to open up more trade possibilities. And there's actually, Justin just opened up the region map, and that's what he has discovered so far. Now, as you level up your merchant and gain more reputation, you will unlock more of the map, therefore unlocking more cities and more locations that you can interact with and level up and build reputation with. There's actually a whole different play style that you can play called Ambassador, where pretty much you're not too worried about dungeons, you're not too worried about working with these heroes. You're more so focused on working with the other cities. He's now looking at Eastmire, which is another city across the river. And you can engage in trade routes with them. You can buy gear, you can buy materials, and you can do all kinds of different things with this city. Along with it, it unlocks their own set of problems. They have their own issues that they're worried about. So it's going to unlock new quests for you. It's going to unlock new dungeons for you. Just all kinds of new stuff to do. With basically every single city, every location, every zone is going to have its own little bit of problems there. So we're definitely going to give a tour as we start wrapping things up of what we have currently in the game so far. It is pretty big, and right now, looking at the zone that we'll show you before we wrap it up, is less than an eighth of what the whole realm is going to be. Actually, it's less than a 16th, because right now what we're looking at is the second half of Act 1. Act 1 is going to include all kinds of really cool things, which we're not going to tell you about yet, but it is going to be a very, very big map. It's going to be so big that the exploration is a whole factor of the game in itself as well. So there's really a lot going into it. As far as currency goes, haven't talked about it too much yet. So your main currency that you're going to be using is gold. You use gold to kind of fund and fuel everything. You buy things with gold, you trade things with gold. But there are going to be other currencies that you'll unlock, specifically things like upgrading dungeons. You can't just pay gold and upgrade it. You do have to get other stuff to contribute to it. And then as far as reputation goes, there's about 4 or 5 different currencies, I think 5, that we're going to have that is going to manage just about everything that you do. We did want more than just gold, but we didn't want to flood it to the point where it's like, okay, you need to farm this now in order to do this. Now farm this to do this and farm this to do that. We wanted each system potentially to have its own type of currency, but we did want it all to kind of meld together. So you're not specifically stuck doing one thing and feeling like it's a chore. If you do one thing, you'll be getting resources for multiple things. So Definitely more details to come about that as once we get all the balancing nailed down with it. But you also asked, so a big part is going to be town-specific items and quests. Yeah, there's going to be certain items that you can only get once you've reached a certain reputation level with, say for example, Eastmire. Once you reach a certain level of reputation with them, you have the possibility of getting special items. I don't want to say the other terms that we're using for them because that's kind of spoilery, but you can get special items from different towns, special materials from different towns, and yeah, special quests and all kinds of different interactions. And there will be, so let's say every single hero you've created is a plate wearer. They're wearing heavy armor. And Eastmire focuses mostly on medium armor. You're not going to want to do much with them. But if you look at the next town to the north, Zar, that town specializes in a material / possibly currency called Zarian silver. And you use that one for all kinds of different things. So maybe if you're more focused on the heavy armor, you'll focus a lot more on Zar's reputation, and you'll work more with them, and you'll do more with them in terms of trying to build up that reputation, so that you can buy and sell from them a little bit more and do more specific focus quests for them. So yeah, definitely a lot there in terms of relationships, not only with heroes, but with other towns in terms of what you want to focus on. And then the region map as well is going to, if you look at the region map, it's going to show you all the neighboring towns, all the area that you have access to. And what that's going to do is allow you to track the reputations that you have with these individual towns. So yeah, definitely a lot happening there in terms of keeping up with your relationships with the world. And Joseph mentioned a little bit that there's going to be a merchant talent tree. That's very spoilery. You're gonna be able to focus very much in, if you want to be an ambassador, if you want to be a craftsman, if you want to focus most on the merchant aspect, if you want to be a director and really focus on building up your guild and being very powerful with your guild, you'll be able to choose to specialize in these specific things, or potentially specialize in all of them, depending on how you want to play. So there's definitely a lot of free agency in terms of how you're going to approach these things. And yeah, we're already getting up to an hour.
Yeah, it's going fast.
Yeah, we wanted to keep this right around an hour. So is there any last things you want to talk about before we give them kind of a tour and wrapped it up?
Man, there's so much.
There really is so much, and there's so much more we wanted to get through. We wanted to be through chapter 7 by the end of it, but there's just so much happening that it was really hard to get there. But any core things that you want to talk about before we do the tour and call it?
So with discoveries, you see that's my next step here. This is a big one. We obviously have a big world, and discoveries are a huge part of them. I'm gonna kinda leave it at that for now, though. Basically, there's a lot to explore in this, and discoveries can introduce so much to your game, whether it be items, more reputation, more adventures, more dungeons, even. Everything can be unlocked through an adventure. A discovery. So this is going to be a very, very big feature. But yeah, I kind of want to leave it at that. We have just so much more to talk about, but I think we can kind of get into, exploring the world. There is one thing I think that you guys might have seen, which is a delivery. That's a big thing with, we were talking about reputation with other cities. You can do these sort of trade routes by delivering goods from one city to another and increasing your reputation with that city, unlocking those special items. Rabbit Thunder wants to talk to me again. Best friends.
Don't talk to her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the interesting thing about the lore of the game. There's all kinds of dangers outside of these city walls. And so these heroes, when you're playing an MMO, a real MMO, you're getting in there and you don't see NPCs walking around. You don't see active trade routes. You see these heroes running around doing this stuff. And that's kind of the same situation here where, you're just a merchant. You haven't trained in this combat. You haven't trained in how to fight off these dangers. So you are having these heroes do it for you. So if you have an officer and there's a delivery, Eastmire needs a delivery sent up to Zar, you can say, okay, they need a delivery. Can you go help them out? You'll get bonuses from that. You'll get reputation with the cities for that. and basically, and that's if that's the kind of gameplay that you want to focus on. I've done entire playthroughs going through of what we have so far, not doing a single delivery because I was focusing on something else. Yeah, I think when it really comes down to it, the lore is it plays into it quite a bit. And Joseph mentioned adventures. So we have these basic quests. That's probably the last thing that I want to talk about is adventures. We have these basic quests where, you say, hey, you hero, go do this. They'll go do it. They'll come back to you, give you the stuff, you're good to go. But with adventures, they're essentially multi-stage quests. And that's going to end up being, sometimes it'll start at level 1 and you'll go all the way up to level 50 before you finish that full adventure. So they're much longer stories with much more involved storylines and everything happening there. And actually right now, kind of funny what Joseph's doing is he's kind of looking around. You can see the fog of war, and that looks kind of a little daunting because these are areas that Joseph actually hasn't discovered yet. And you can still kind of see, you can see these buildings in the fog just kind of poking out above it, and the lighting, and you're going to probably come across this in your playthrough where you'll want to look around and you'll want to see what else is out there, and you can venture into the fog of war. But I built this map, the majority of this map, and I get lost. And this is, again, a very small portion of it. So you'll get lost, but you can just press C and go back. But you can see these really, really crazy things kind of popping up over the fog. And it's kind of this little intrigue as far as what you'll be seeing as you continue to progress. And actually, he's looking right now at the first official raid in the game is right there beneath the fog. You can see it's really daunting. You can see bone spikes and skulls and dead trees and everything. Pretty daunting stuff. That's the first raid right there. And I actually think we have a little admin panel, which you guys won't have access to it, sorry, but it's for cheating basically. So he can actually unlock it and reveal it, and we can see kind of what some of this stuff looks like. And yeah, I think outside of that, there really is, we could literally sit here for another 2-3 hours and easily 2 or 3 hours to go over the rest of the stuff that you can do in this game. But of course, we did want to keep it right around an hour, and we are a little bit beyond that right now. But yeah, there's the Zarian silver I was talking about earlier. There's a quarry there where this is Zar, and they are the main traders of that very, very valuable silver. And then, yeah, this bridge that crosses into the first raid, it's called Rite of Morning. And yeah, it's a pretty menacing area. Of course, it's nighttime. But yeah, all kinds of story behind what's going on there, but we don't want to spoil any story for you. But yeah, again, so going back to what Joseph was talking about earlier, you have all the different monster types. So you do want to study these things. You want to know ahead of time what you're sending your heroes into, because if you have a hero that's focused around physical strength and they're really good against physical damage, and the monsters that you're fighting are really good against physical damage, that might be a problem for you. So you need to make sure that you are giving them the right gear, sending them to the right places, and not just sending them to go die. And he's looking now at what is known as the Earthstone. But I don't think I want to spoil that.
Yeah, that's really heavy on the lore. Kind of the reason why you're doing what you're doing in the game. Let me see. Do we say his name?
No, I don't think we talk about what you're looking at. I think we'll leave it at that. Just some fun little spoilers, some things you can look forward to. Now, we had the question, when can we play it? Soon? TM? I'm sure a lot of you know that joke, but we are definitely looking to wrap it up as soon as we can. I think we should be able to give a date very soon here. In the meantime, make sure you are following Twitter or our Instagram, and then of course join our Discord. I think the best way to communicate would be the Discord. Let me actually get an invite here in case anybody does want to join and has not yet. That is our Discord channel. Please join us there. If you have any questions, ask them there. Anytime there's an announcement, a stream going up, anything new to say, that will be one of the first places that we'll talk about it. And we are also going to try doing much more regular streams. Most likely getting to the point where we will eventually want to stream at least bi-weekly, really getting out there, communicating, answering questions. And we made a game here that we love. You know, we absolutely love this game. We think everything in it is great. Obviously, it's our baby. It's our game. We love it. But we want to make sure everybody does. So whenever we do get this game into your hands and you guys are playing it, you're getting in there, you're seeing what it is you like, what it is you don't like. We absolutely want to hear it. So kind of a precursor to when we actually launch the Friends and Family test. We want as much feedback as possible. You know, we're not going to pretend that we made a perfect game. What you're talking about doesn't make sense. We made it perfect. Leave us alone. No, we want as much feedback as possible. We want to make sure the pacing is good, the balance is good, the characters are good, the story is good, the systems are good, the mechanics are good. We want everything to be something that as many people can enjoy as possible. So feedback is going to be insanely important here, where we want this to be a cumulative effort. You know, we got it to a point where we love it, we're enjoying it, and we really, really want to make sure that other people are liking it. Joseph's doing a little jumping puzzle right now, just bouncing around on the roofs. But we also wanted some silliness. We wanted some fun in the game. You know, like he just did an impossible jump through a roof to get to another roof. And we're not going to take that out.
Very athletic.
He's very agile.
That mustache gives like +10 move speed at least. So
that's just something. It's a separate pair of wings.
100%.
But yeah, definitely we want to make sure it's fun. So with that said, is there any final things you wanted to add on, Joseph? Or
that's pretty much it. I wanted to thank everyone for joining. This is a really, really exciting moment for us. To say I was nervous is an understatement. It just means this game means a lot to me, but it means a lot that you guys came out and were listening to us and seeing our cool game. So thank you guys very much for joining the stream.
Yeah, and we very much got into some of the conversation, and there's so much to talk about. We want to keep talking about it. We want to keep showing it. So we will, of course, continue to announce whenever we're doing another stream. Hopefully, not too far in the future here. We'll show more, and hopefully in the next stream, we might even be able to announce a date that will let you guys get your hands on it, really get in there and play it, and play around for yourselves. So yeah, thanks again. We really are super stoked, and that's all we have for you today. For now.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Again, join the Discord if you have any further questions. We're on there and we'll answer anything that you want. And also, I mean, if you have suggestions, we love those. So, constructive criticism, please, 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 please. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks again.